Alright guys, in this video, I'm going to give you my strategy for running Google Ads for family lawyers. I'm going to show you how I would approach setting up a Google Ads campaign for a family law firm and what keywords I would go for and how to set the whole thing up and basically the entire funnel from the keywords down to the landing page so that you have the highest chance of success. So the very first thing you would want to do is actually pull out the keywords that you want to advertise for. You want to open the Google Ads keyword planner. You go into the Google Ads account. If you don't have one, you can make one for free. You'll have access to this tool. And basically you go to tools and then you go to keyword planner, click that. And then you want to hit discover new keywords and you want to input your location. So for this one, I'm just going to put Texas as a random example just to pick whatever. And you want to input the main thing that you think people are searching for. So in this case, it would be family lawyer. So I'm just going to put that in. We'll see what it gives us and we'll go from there. So it'll give you a list that looks like this, right? And basically the most important things here are going to be the keyword and the average monthly searches. Those two are the biggest thing here. The competition, this bid estimate, they're pretty hit or miss truthfully, so I wouldn't pay too much attention to them. You can get an idea of how expensive it's gonna be to run these ads. Like for example, this is obviously on the higher end of most Google ad campaigns. Most ad campaigns are between like $1, $3 or $4. These are between 20 and 80, so it's obviously on the higher end, but that's to be expected with a lot of legal services. But basically what you want to look out for is what the keyword is and what the average monthly searches is. Now, what I recommend you do is actually export this list into either a CSV or a Google Sheet. It doesn't really matter. We'll do CSV for this case. And we're going to need to sort out these keywords into various topics. So when you've downloaded the sheet, it's going to look something like this when you open it in Excel. Basically, what you want to do is now, I recommend just delete all these columns, delete the currency, it's not really relevant. Delete all of these. I like to leave the monthly searches so I know how relevant these keywords are. And we can also delete these top rows. I usually just color this one gray just to differentiate it. And now we have the keywords and the monthly searches. And so basically now what we're gonna do is I sort these so that I can see whatever the most popular keywords are. And now what we want to do is go through and actually sort these out into the different topics that we have that we want to advertise for. Now, what a lot of people will do is they'll take this entire list and they'll throw it into one ad group and then they'll run like one ad or one responsive ad with the different headlines and stuff and then hope for the best. And that is not the best strategy because it's not relevant enough to these particular keywords, especially since you can't send them to the appropriate landing pages, which is something I'm going to talk a little bit later in this video, and it's extremely important as well. And so what I recommend we do is sort them out into topics. And so what I'll usually do is open up a couple of new tabs down the bottom, right? Just have them open. And we're gonna go through and see what themes we can pick up in here. So obviously the very first one is family lawyer, family lawyers, family lawyer near me, family law attorney. And so what we wanna do is those would all go into a group that would be family law. So an easy way to filter this is you could literally just add the filter and you could search, for example, family, and that would give you a lot of them. You still have to filter through some of this, but it's a lot better. So for example, you can see now that we've got most of the family law related ones. We've got family court here, which you'd want to pay attention to if you want to offer that or not. Divorce and family lawyers. So for example, if you're a mediation firm, you probably wouldn't want to go for divorce specifically. You could try, but maybe not. Now you've got family and law, and this is exactly an example of a type of keyword I would not run ads for. And the reason why is because the search intent on this one is not clear. What does this mean? This, somebody who wants a family lawyer right now is probably not going to go on Google and type in family and law. So what's going to happen, you're going to bid on this keyword. It's probably expensive. I bet you if we take a look at actually let's have a look at the cost per click on this, you'll probably find that it's very expensive. Yeah, it's between $10 and $68 that you'd be paying for a click on this for someone who's likely not looking for your offering. So that's a perfect example of the type of keyword I would remove from this list. Every single keyword you want to pay for, you are essentially going, yes, I want to pay for someone to click on my ad from this keyword. So then you have to think, what are these people actually looking for when they type it in? Somebody who's searching family and law is very unlikely to, or is way less likely to convert into a potential client for the firm than somebody who's specifically looking for a family lawyer near me and needs a lawyer right now. So that's something you need to consider. So I would remove that from the list, and you could go down and see what else we have here. Pro bono, for example, you'll get things like that. If you want to offer that, that's fine. I mean, I personally wouldn't run ads for that, but it's up to you. Cheap as well, debatable. We'll leave it for now, but you would obviously have to decide whether you want to run ads for like low income, affordable, things like that. Now the pro bono here we'll remove. Family violence, that's a specific subset, so we'll keep that aside. I would actually probably just move that here. Basically what you want to do is go down this list and sort through these keywords. So obviously I'm not going to go and do this for half an hour or something. It usually takes a little while, but what you would do is you pick out the ones you want. Let's say we want all of these. That's the family law ad group. We'll add that in here. And now we have the keywords to run for our first ad group, which would be family lawyers, right? Then you would want to do the same thing for the second one. So the next most obvious one would be divorce. So you would come in here and you would go divorce. Now, one quick tip actually before we move on is I like to either color these or clear them once I've removed them or put them in a group. So I know that I've already got these keywords in an ad group somewhere, so you don't end up twice with the same keyword. It's not going to kill it, but it's not the best approach. So you want to just keep things tidy. So for example, if we do divorce, you can see now I've got these here in a divorce ad group. So now you would have to decide which ad group you want them in. I think I'm just going to leave it because the family law page would mention divorce and could direct them to divorce if that's what they wanted. So I think in this case, it's fine. But you would want to go down the list. Again, see what you have here. Pick out any keywords you don't want. Like let's say you don't want that one, for example. And let's say you don't want pro bono, for example. Let's say you don't want military. So the other thing you want to do is if any of these stand out and is very obvious to you that they are something you definitely don't want to waste money on clicks from. For example, let's say you just don't deal with military divorce. You would want to take that keyword, and I usually open a notepad and I will put it in the notepad, except this, I will put it as an exact match like so, which is with the square brackets around it, meaning that Google will now eliminate this keyword when it's searched in that exact match, like those exact words in that exact order. It won't show your ad for that. However, it will still possibly show it if somebody searches military divorce lawyer. So in this case, I'm going to put the word military in speech marks as well. And the reason why is now that's a phrase match. So any combination of keywords that include the word military will now be excluded. So therefore, if you don't offer anything to do with military divorce, you would want to add it like that, and that's going to eliminate it. So same thing for, let's say, pro bono or cheap or something like that. Instead of having to go and get every single one of these keyword variations, you could just add, let's say, pro bono to the list like that. And now it will eliminate every keyword variation with pro bono. At least it's supposed to anyway. And so that's how you do that. So let's say you've now got your list, you're happy with the list. We're going to get, let's say, these ones, this one, this one, this one. We're going to copy them and we're going to put them in a different sheet. Okay, so now we have them in here. Unfortunately, I didn't copy the CPCs, so you want to make sure that you get those as well. The volume is not that important, but I like to know just which keyword is like the main keyword and just have an idea of like how many searches we're expecting from this. But you don't have to keep it in there if for some reason you don't want to. So now we can put these yellow as well because we grabbed all these. And so now we know these are taken. So now we've got the two ad groups, family lawyer and divorce lawyers near me. Now you would want to go through and do it for everything else. So for example, depending on what services you're offering, you might do child custody, you might do child support, you might do alimony, you might do relationship property. You want to go and add all of these in separate groups. Now, what you're going to find is that this will not contain all of the keywords that you need for those different topics because we searched family lawyer. So if you have obviously different topics, like let's say child custody lawyer, you would want to put that in here like this and do this whole thing again. So now you would get child custody specific keywords, as we can see here. And so you would want to export this list and then go through here and see which ones you want to target, which ones you don't. So for example, we can already see we've got child custody and child support. Those are two slightly different things, as I'm sure you know. So you'd want to have those two in separate ad groups. And so you'd want to go through the same process I just showed you through these keywords as well. And so you can see that this is going to take a bit of time to go through this list and filter out everything. You don't have to go through every single keyword, but I would be going through the list up until the point where you're starting to see like you're seeing all these 50s. When it drops below like that, or you've seen the same variations many, many times. So for example, you've just seen a bunch of different variations of family lawyer and things like that, then you can stop. Typically speaking, if you're at the point of like 50 keywords per ad set or per ad group, you've got more than enough usually. So you don't have to go crazy and go through like every single one of these because sometimes you'll have like 1,500 different keywords and it's just going to take forever. So get like the top, let's say 10 to 50, and that's typically enough per ad group. And now what you want to do though is before you finish, you want to go through and just scan the list and just see any obvious negative keywords you want to add, because Google will show your ad for these things because it thinks they're relevant by putting them on this list. And so what that means is you need to make sure that you eliminate them now before you waste money paying for clicks. So let's say, for example, you don't want to include something like mediation lawyer. You would want to add that to the list right now and eliminate that ever being a problem. See property settlement as well, immigration as well. If you don't want to deal with immigration, divorce, things like that, you want to go through and literally add them as I've shown you in here, either as an exact match or the phrase of that section that's the problem. Like let's say immigration, and you don't want anything to do with immigration, you would add that like this to the list. And then you go through and you do that, and you do that with the child custody. Then you could do the same thing here with, let's say, alimony lawyer, and just go through all the different topics that you want to actually advertise for. Now, this one's obviously a smaller one, but you can see here, I would just include this range of keywords here. You wouldn't have to go through all the 0 to 10s. That's just a waste of time. Just do these ones that have 10 to 100 searches, add them, and then that's your ad group for alimony. And so now you have your different ad groups. So if you've done this and you're advertising, quite a few different service areas, you might have 5 to 10, potentially more ad groups. Typically speaking, you'll have probably 5 to 10. And then now we can actually go and add these ad groups together and then make the specific ad. So you would go to your campaign and you would make a campaign, and then you would add the ad groups and the ads. So one thing to keep in mind is whether you need to make separate campaigns for each of these. Typically, I would lump them based on the general service and then have these separate areas underneath. And so what I mean by that is you would have family law as a campaign, and then underneath that you could have these different types of family law. So you'd have family lawyer, divorce lawyer, child custody, etc., etc. That's how I usually lump them, and that usually works well. However, there's no reason you couldn't split those up into individual campaigns if you wanted. It just means that the budget won't be spread out across all of them. You have to manage the budgets individually for every one of those campaigns, and that can be a pain unless you're dealing with a very big budget and you want to be very exact. So typically speaking, you just put them all in one campaign and make the bunch of ad groups. And so what that would look like is you would go create, and you'd go create a campaign. And I'm not gonna do every single detail of this. I'm just gonna show you an overview of what that would look like. So what I'll do is I typically select this one. I select search only for search campaigns. You would select what specific conversions you want to track. Again, all this is not exactly the purpose of this video. I have a video on how to set up the Google Ads campaign from A to Z. If you want that, go watch that. It's in the link above. But we'll just speed through this. So examplewebsite.com, you would go through this process. Campaign name. So this is the one where I would do family law. And now I would put all of the different ad groups in here. So ideally, we want to just skip this process and then just go through manually and do it. So let me just finish all this off. I would untick those, select your target area, etc. Again, I'm not going to go through every detail here. So now we are at the stage where we can create our first ad group. So here, what you would want to do is you want to make family law. You would have family lawyer, and that's the ad group here. I usually write phrase so that I know it's phrase matched keywords here, because sometimes we do some testing with exact matches and things like that. But basically now what you want to do is you want to go back to this list you pull out this entire list of keywords, and we want to add them here. And now we're going to change these to phrase match in a minute. I'll show you a faster way to do it, but you can just paste them in here for now. And then you would add your URL to your specific landing page that you want these ads to go to. Now, this is very important. You don't want to send these to the home page or to like all the same services page. You want a specific page about family law, and you want to send those ads to that page. And the reason why is because you want to make this entire funnel relevant. So here's an example. I'll just draw this out quickly so you understand what's happening. Say somebody is searching the keywords family lawyer, right? And so up here we got family lawyer, and I'm going to put keyword. Basically, you want to keep this entire funnel congruent and give them the same thing. So what that would mean is you would want to go here. You want your ads to say family lawyer. So let's say ads. And then the next step of the funnel is a landing page, and you want that to also say family lawyer. And so as you can see here, it goes from them, which is the keyword, to the ads, which is now family lawyer specific ads. And then we've got the ads going to a landing page that's family law. And so what's happening is it's very congruent, and every step of the process is extremely relevant to what they were searching. If you were to do something like this, where the keyword is family law, the ad says something like, let's say family law, and then now you go home page of your website, now all of a sudden there's a break in the relevancy, because this was relevant, but then you come down here And now this is no longer actually relevant. Like it's now broken because this is no longer what they were looking for. Now you might have mentions of family law on your page, but it's not as relevant as going specifically to a family law page. And so that's something you want to keep in mind. You always want to keep this whole thing congruent and don't break the congruency of the relevance at any point throughout this process. And so everything needs to be relevant. So you want to make sure that you send them to the correct page. And basically you should have a landing page for every ad group that you're running. So if you're running a divorce law page or ad, it should go to a divorce law page. If you're running child custody ads, they should go to a child custody page, etc., etc. You always want to have this funnel going like this. You never want to have it like become irrelevant at some point, because that's the way to just basically kill your campaign and you won't get good results, or certainly not as good as if you did this. So that's that. So you want to run this to a family law page. So let's say this is family law. Here you can put the words family law in here. Just try and make it as relevant as possible. So this display URL just shows what URL is going to show in your ad. And now in here, you would put headlines. Now I like to just pin them 1, 2, and 3. So that it doesn't give Google the option to test these around. It forces it to do it the way I want. And then headline 1 will always have the keyword. So family lawyer, and let's say family lawyers Dallas, TX, or something like that, right? So family lawyers Dallas, Texas, some variation of the main keyword in here as the very first headline. And then it would be something like call us now, free consult, or something like that, let's just say. And then some reason why they should click the ad here. So it would be like, let's say, specialists in family law, something like that, right? Some kind of incentive for them to actually want to use your firm. And you would want to create variations of these ads. You can have up to 3. I usually create up to 3 and then run them and see which one performs the best. And so here, the description, you would want to fill these out as well. So like, we specialize in family law in Dallas. We do all cases. And then down here you could do like, let's say divorce, child custody, and more. Call our family lawyers today, something like that. Basically you want to try and get the keyword in here so that it shows up bold. When they search on Google search, it will actually show up bold if it's the same keyword as what they searched. So you want to try and get that in there. Same thing with like family law, it's a variation, that will probably be bold as well. And basically just try and convince them to contact you, give them a reason why. So just explain what you do, try and make it as relevant as possible. From here, I'm just going to skip all these bits because they're not part of the video as such, but basically you want to fill out as many assets as you can and you want to hit next. Now what we have is our campaign is done and we have a ad set, and now we have our new campaign and our ad group for family law that we just made with the ad, etc. And so now what you would want to do is you want to go in here and all of these keywords, we want to change them to phrase match, remember. So what you want to do is just hit select all, and then you just want to go edit, change match types, change all match types, and select it to phrase match. And now all of these keywords that we input earlier are now going to be changed to phrase match. And so that's what you want. I don't really recommend running broad match keywords. Phrase match is already quite loose as it is. If you do broad match, you're going to get a bunch of random stuff happening. So I wouldn't recommend that. Here, you want to go into negative search keywords, and you want to take all these keywords we added to the negative list and we want to just add them here like that. Now again, if you add these speech marks, it's going to be phrase match. If you add these square brackets, it's going to be exact match. The reason we didn't do this in the previous step for the other keywords is because it would have taken forever to go down the list of 20 keywords and add speech marks to every one of them. It's just a pain, whereas it was faster the way I showed you. But basically you want to add these negatives in here, you want to hit save, and now we have the keywords and everything is done. So the only other thing I recommend now is you would go in here and you would go and create 2 more variations of this ad with some change to the headline typically, just to test something else and see what's going to perform better, and then you could run it. And now we go through this exact same process, but with like the divorce one. So you can either make a new ad group, or I typically like to just copy and paste this one, and then I will just make all the changes from there. If you want to keep like the same negative keywords, for example, this is just going to be much faster. And then you want to just do this. I usually pause them before pasting and then, or after pasting, and then actually edit them, and then I'll activate them when they're done. But basically you want to paste it in here, give it a minute to do this, and then we can go set up the divorce one. So for that, we want to go and pull out our divorce keywords. So go back to the sheet and we have divorce here, and we're going to take these and we're going to paste them in once this thing is done. Okay, and so now we should be able to see, you might have to refresh the page sometime, but you should see the new ad group you just made. You might have to select it here from this drop down as well. For some reason, sometimes it filters out. So yeah, now we've got number 2 here. So we'll just click on that one. So I'm going to now rename this one divorce lawyers, and I'm going to put phrase as well, so we know it's the phrase match. And this is just my naming convention. You don't have to use it, but you can. And now what you can go in here is delete all these keywords. You just select them all, edit, remove, and then we're going to paste the ones we just copied from that list. So once that clears out, now we hit new, we paste them in here like that. So these are all the divorce ones that we pulled out. And now we again select all, change match types, change them all to phrase. And then now we've got the divorce one done. So now we need to just go and do the ads and the assets and everything else. And so you do that for this entire process. You'd go now into ads, you would update this ad to be divorce relevant. You make sure that you change it to the divorce page for the URLs as well. So don't forget that, it's extremely important for the landing pages. So up here, final URL, you'd want to make that /divorce lawyer in this case for this one. And you do that with all of these ads, so don't forget. And then obviously make the rest of the ad relevant to divorce lawyers to match your keywords. You save the ad, do that 3 times, and you do that with all these. Then you do child custody and all these other ones as well. And by the end of that, you're going to have a family law campaign with divorce lawyers, child custody, etc., all on there, and it'll be ready to go. And so that is how I would run Google ads for family lawyers, and that's how I do run them for family lawyers, and it works really, really well. I mean, the same can be applied for basically any other type of campaign. If it's like other areas of law like wills and estates, etc., this process works. You just need to keep in mind this. This is the most important part here is this. You need the keywords, the ads, and the landing page to be congruent with each other and relevant to the topic. And this is what's going to dictate the success of your campaign. As long as you've got the keywords clustered together in the relevant topics. So for example, everything to do with family lawyer specifically in one, everything to do with divorce lawyer in another, then the ads say the same thing as the keywords do, and the landing page says the same thing as the ads do. And obviously the landing page, you've got good testimonials, you've got good content on there, you've written it well and displayed it well, then you should have good success running the ads this way. So I hope you guys found this useful. If you have any questions about this, put them in the comments below and I will answer them. Otherwise, if you'd like me to do this for your firm and get you results with Google ads, go to dominatemarketing.io, book a call with me there. Otherwise, if you'd like me to coach you on how to run Google ads like this and do SEO for only $49 a month, go to learndominatemarketing.com. Hope you guys enjoyed this one. Catch you on the next one.